Hello and welcome to this video on how to get started making and releasing music. If you've clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you're in the fairly early stages of your music career, or you may just be at the very start looking for some advice. I've been making and releasing music for over 7 years now, and I thought it'd be a good idea to put this video together to give you some of the key information in very simple and easy steps on how you can get to the point where you are making and releasing music very easily and at a low cost. If you're very early on in your journey, it can seem quite daunting, but stick around, we're going to help you out. If you're fairly established and you've been making, releasing and distributing your own music for a while, a lot of this video might seem simple to you. That being said, there's some good bits of information in here, so feel free to stick around to see if any of it is useful for you. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to break this down into 7 simple steps. Follow these 7 simple steps and you'll have your music made and released in no time. Step number 1. What is one of the key things you need to make a song? This may seem very simple and obvious, but there are different ways you can get to the point of creating. To put your lyrics down over a song, you need an instrumental, or what is commonly referred to as in some genres, a beat. One of the most organic ways to achieve this is to work with producers. It might be producers you know, it might be producers you've reached out to online, social media. One of the key benefits to reaching out to a producer and building a relationship with them is that you can build your instrumental or your beat from scratch. No matter what genre of music you make, they'll be able to make you a bespoke instrumental that suits your style. One of the cons of this is you might say, I don't know any producers, or I haven't got time to sit down in a 3-4 hour session to make a bespoke beat. That's fine. It's not essential that you do this. It's just a recommendation that you start to build relationships and build a rapport with a producer, because this will help you to make good music and to make music often. So this leads us on to your second option, YouTube. Now, YouTube is a great resource for many things in this day and age. And when you're just first starting to come up as an artist, this is also correct. You can very simply go onto YouTube and search for beats in your genre or in your style that you like to make. This is arguably a lot quicker than working with a producer that you might meet in real life or on social media. And it also gives you the benefit that you can search specifically for the type of sounds you are looking for. Another benefit of using this process is you can get instant delivery of the instrumental. Now, if you've got a studio session coming up or you want to record very soon, this can be very beneficial. 99% of producers will have a link in the description of their YouTube video where you can get instant delivery of the beat. The hosting website they use may differ between genres, but just as an example, I use BeatStars quite a lot. A producer will have a link in their description, it will take you to BeatStars, and you can instantly pay and get a copy of the MP3 file, the WAV file, and the license for distributing that music. We'll come on to distribution a bit later on in the video. Let's paint the picture. We've linked up with a producer, we've got an instrumental, or we've been on YouTube and we've got an instrumental that we would like to use. Step 2, the writing process. This is again a step that has multiple options, and it's very important you remember, there really is no rules in music. Whatever works best for you creatively, stick with it. Don't let anyone tell you, you have to do this, you have to do that. As we know, music is an art form, so whatever works best for you, stick with it, and hopefully you get good results. Now, the first method to writing your song would be pre-writing it before you go to your studio session. Typically, you go to an environment that you're comfortable with and you can really take your time to work on the lyrics, flow, delivery, etc. Now, this method I would highly recommend if you're just getting started out. Using that time to yourself will really help you develop and progress as an artist. It will also help you go into your studio session or your recording session at home with more confidence, especially if you're an artist just starting out. You know your song inside out, you've practiced it, you've been through it. Once you've been through this process and you started gaining some confidence, you might start to look at alternative ways of writing or alternative ways of creating. The second option you might to look into is writing in session. Now, this is where you'll go into your studio session with an engineer, potentially a producer there, and potentially another artist that you're collaborating with. Writing in session can be beneficial in the sense that the producers are there and they could work the instrumental or the beat around what you are doing, or even you could collaborate with another artist, write with them in the session. You could get input from various different avenues, be it the engineer, the producer, the other artist you're working with. Of course, writing in session does mean that you have to have built up a little bit of a skill for writing fairly quickly and coming up with ideas on the spot. This is why I only recommend this method if you've already followed some of the earlier steps and you feel like you're gaining confidence and your writing ability has progressed. That being said, again, there are no rules in music and sometimes organic is the best way. So even if you are fairly early on in your music journey, don't hesitate to go into a studio session and do some writing. It may really benefit you, and who knows, everybody works different in different environments. You could create the best music you've ever made on that day, especially if you're comfortable in that setting and the input from the other avenues such as the other artist, the producer and the engineer really assist you. Step number 3 then, and I'm going to keep this one very brief because it is very simple. Step number 3 is practice. If you have picked the pre-write method where you're going to pre-write your song before you go into the studio, don't finish the last lyric and think, right, I'm ready to go in the studio. This is especially true if you're a new artist or you've just started making music. What you want to do is run through it a number of times. Make sure you're happy with every lyric, every flow, every element of the song. You could even start to think about layers, harmonies, ad-libs, and those type of things. That way, when you go into the studio, especially if you're on a timescale, you are prepared and ready, and you know you're going to come out of the studio with a good outcome. I have definitely made the mistake before of going straight into the studio and I've just finished writing a song, and there've been moments where I'm not happy with a lyric or a certain flow or if something's working, and I may have fixed it in the moment or I may have not, and there's nothing more frustrating than coming away from a session, especially if you're paying quite a lot of money, and not having something that you're happy with. It might mean you need to book another session to fix it, and it just sort of slows up your creative process, especially if you've got other songs to write and record. Step 4 then, and probably one of the most important steps, is recording your actual song. Now, one thing I would like to reiterate on this point is practice. When you first start out, you might not have a lot of confidence or your delivery might not be the best. The only way to get better at this is to keep recording, keep making music, try different studios, try different engineers and see how you feel. It may take you days, weeks, months, even years to get comfortable and find your sound, but stick with it and eventually you'll get there and you'll be able to walk into a session and easily make music that you are happy with. Again, with recording, there are a couple of different methods that you can use to get your song down. What I would recommend if you are just starting out is finding a studio local to you, reaching out to the engineers that run it and booking in some sessions. Not only is this going to give you the most professional sound, it's also an opportunity to meet like-minded people in the music industry, network, share songs. You might even meet a producer that makes your type of sound. It's very beneficial, even aside from just recording the song that you intended to record on that day. Another key benefit is the level of equipment they have there. In a professional studio, they're going to have good microphones, good preamps, good headphones, good monitors to listen back on. It's just going to be more beneficial to you to start getting an idea of how your ideas can come to fruition and how they're going to sound. With other methods, you potentially might not get that benefit, and that leads us directly onto our second method of recording. The second method of recording is to get a setup and record yourself at home. Now, there are two scenarios in which I would recommend this. Number one, you're just starting out and you don't feel ready to go to the studio yet. With all the technology that we have now, you can easily do some demo recordings at home to start to get a feel for your sound, start to get a feel for your voice before you start thinking about investing money into studio sessions. You don't need to spend a lot of money on equipment. You could start to make some demos. This will give you the opportunity to get opinions from other people on your sound, recording, lyrics, delivery, etc. And it's a good starting point when you're just starting out. The second scenario in which I would advise potentially recording at home is that you've been recording in studios for a little while, you're starting to get a little bit more advanced, you may have even picked up some minor engineering skills from working in studio with engineers, and you're ready to look at getting a home setup so that you can record properly at home. When I say properly, I don't mean that you have to have top of the range equipment that costs hundreds and thousands. You just need a half decent setup. How far you go with this is very much going to depend on what you want the outcome to be from your home recordings. If you purely want to make demos, then you're obviously not to go and spend thousands and thousands, but if you're going to use your home setup as your main place of recording and you intend to release the songs that you make there once they're mixed and mastered, then it would be worthy of a further investment. If you are in that position, here are some of the key things you're going to need to get that set up. Firstly, it goes without saying that you're going to need a PC or a laptop. Typically, it's going to be an Apple product, be it an iMac or a MacBook. I would say an iMac and MacBooks are the most commonly used across studios and across the majority of artists' home setups. Now, of course, MacBooks and iMacs are very expensive, but remember, you don't need to go and buy a brand new one. There's various websites out there where you can get refurbished or second-hand Macs, and this is a good starting point if you're just starting out. Secondly, you're going to need a DAW or a DAW as it's sometimes called, and this is your recording software. This is what's going to allow you to bring everything together. Your instrumental, your lyrics, all the effects. This is where everything is pulled together. Now, that's a very basic and non-technical description of it, but it's really all you need to know for now. I use Logic Pro, which is an Apple product. This is very, very widely used across the industry, but there are other options like Cubase, Fruity Loops, Ableton, and many others. This, of course, will come at a cost, but is a very, very worthy investment as an artist. You'll pay once and you'll be able to use it for years and years after, and there's so many different different uses. Even aside from music, you can use it for a lot of different audio tasks. Thirdly, you're also going to need some decent headphones. I would advise getting some good ones for when you are recording. There's a lot out on the market, and I'm sure there's a lot of other videos that will give you a comparison of the different ones, but you can typically get some very good ones from anywhere between £20 to £100, or if you're in another country, whatever the equivalent currency is. Number 4, you're also going to need a microphone, of course. How else are you going to be recording your music? And again, this is another element where it's up to you how much you want to spend. Of course, if you're going to spend more, you're going to get access to a better level of recording, but you don't need to be spending hundreds or even thousands if you are just getting started out. It really is relative to the budget you have available and how much investment you want to put into your home setup. Lastly then, you're also going to need an interface. An interface is essentially a product that all your different devices are going to plug into to allow you to do the recording process. For example, I have my interface here. It has got my speakers into it, it has got the microphone plugged into it, and it's also connected to the computer. This is what's going to allow that fusion between all your devices for the recording process. Now, disclaimer, music and computer techies, please don't get at me. I know I'm using very basic terms. I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible for people that are just starting out. Step 5 is what I would call one of the most important steps when you are making or releasing music, and that is the stage after you have fully recorded your music, you have got everything down that you would like, and you're ready to send it into the post-production or mix and mastering process, which is what it will typically be referred to in most studios and by most engineers. Now, I can't stress enough how key this is to getting a professional sound and to get your music ready and sounding good enough, whether that be for streaming platforms, radio, a live show, whatever it may be. If you're thinking about putting your music somewhere that isn't just in the studio or on your computer, you have to make sure it's mixed and mastered properly. Now, I'm not going to go in on this topic too much because I am by no means an engineer and I'm not qualified to talk on it, but for you beginners, essentially the mixing process is achieving the sound that you want from the vocals you have input into your recording software. This may be in the form of effects on your vocals such as auto-tune, reverb, filters, or anything along those lines. This will essentially alter what you have input through your recording to give you a different sound or a better sound, or take the track in the direction that you envisioned it when you were writing it. This is even more key when you're first starting out because some of your performance might not be as advanced yet, you might not know exactly what sound you're going for, and this process therefore allows you to get to a point where you are happy with what you've created. Once you start to work with an engineer over a long period of time, they're going to start to understand your sound, they're going to start to understand how you like to record and how you like your songs to sound. This is going to make the process a lot easier as you get further on. Now, the way I would explain mastering, and again, I'm not really qualified to speak on it, but I have a basic understanding, is that it's more so the levels and the volume of each different element of the track. So the mixing is more sound design, I would say, but the mastering is the levels and the volume and getting it to that point where it's at a suitable level for radio, streaming platforms, etc. Step number 6, let's paint the picture. You've written your music, you've recorded your music, you've had your music professionally mixed and mastered by an engineer. You have the final WAV file of your song. You feel like you're ready to start releasing your music. That brings us on to the next step, which is distribution. Distribution is essentially the method of getting your music out there, whether that be to sell on iTunes or to submit to streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, etc. In order to do this, you need to use a distribution service. This is essentially the middleman between yourself and the streaming platforms. This might sound a little bit daunting if you're first starting out, but please don't worry. It's very, very simple, quick and easy to submit your music onto there and to get it onto the streaming platforms. Some of the main providers are DistroKid, Ditto, TuneCore, and there are many others. I'm not going to go into the finer details of how to use these purely because there are so many videos out there for each different provider that will give you access to that information and make it very clear for you. The one thing I will say is that there are some key bits of information you need to know before you start using these services. Number 1, it's a paid service. However, it's very, very cheap and affordable. You can typically get a subscription for a year for £20 to £30, and this will allow you to release an unlimited amount of music for a year. Secondly, you'll need a couple of things when you submit your music on there. That is your artwork, the WAV file, and you'll need to input all the information about your song. If this is your first time ever releasing music, you will also need an artist profile on all of the different services such as Spotify, Apple Music and Deezer. When you first come to submit on these different providers, they will prompt you to do this. For example, let's say you are releasing your song, you would firstly submit it to one of the distribution service providers, for example DistroKid, Ditto or TuneCore. Once you have submitted and released that first song and it's been sent to Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, etc., then you can go into each of those different apps and start to make your artist profile. This is where you'll be able to start branding yourself, put a picture on your profile, put some information about yourself as an artist. Now, there's various other factors to consider once you get there, such as artwork, branding, press shots, but we're not going to cover that in this video. We're going to keep it very, very simple because this video is purely about making and releasing the music. So there we go. That is your 7 simple and easy steps to start making and releasing music. Hopefully this has been beneficial to you and given you a lot of good information that you can use. If so, I wish you the best of luck. Keep creating, keep making music, keep progressing as an artist. You're only going to get better and better as time goes on. If this video has been useful to you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video and leave a comment below. If there are any points from within this video that you would like me to expand on, please make sure you drop that in the comments and give me an idea of what further information you would like. I can then potentially do a video expanding on these points, or if you need information quickly or you just like to discuss things about music in general, please make sure you follow my Instagram. Feel free to drop me a DM with any questions or if you need any advice. I'll be putting all my social links in the description below. If you want to check out any of my music, I'll also be putting the links in the description, so go and check it out, support a fellow artist. Other than that, that brings us to the end of this video. Subscribe to the channel, keep making music, keep creating, keep chasing your dreams, stay on that journey and you're going to get to exactly where you want to get to. Peace and love people, and see you on the next video.